Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Spirit Sessions of View of the Light. We're so glad to get together with y'all again. So come in for a little bit of white sage smudging and just let go of everything for a few minutes. We have an amazing guest today who I've heard about her for the longest time. I've seen her post, I've seen things, and it's just like, man, I gotta get to know her. And so today is the day, you guys. We have Daisy Farrell with us. And what's neat about Daisy is that she's not definable. Okay, there's so much. There's the spirit artwork, there's the mediumship, there's the shadow work. I mean, anything that you need, Daisy's got it. I mean, how do you define that? But I'm just so honored to be in your presence today, Daisy. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So always, I have other questions, but the main one that's so exciting to me is how did you get from being little Daisy to who you are now? You know what I mean? How did all the realizations and aha moments and all the things, how was that, your journey?
Yeah, all right. So, very, very long story, but I will condense it as best I can. So basically, as a kid, because there's a lot of mediums out there, right, that I feel, they say that ever since they were a child, they just knew they were a medium, and that was very apparent to them. And I wasn't one of those people. However, once I learned what I was, then I could look back and be like, oh, duh, and I kind of realized all of that, right? So it was more of this later realization. And I just kind of feel that happens. There's like kind of two categories with mediums. I feel either, you have like latent, which I would consider myself, even though I feel I was born with all these abilities, I didn't realize I had them until later on in my life. And then there's people that just, like I said, from the beginning, they just are doing it and they're aware of it. And they just, usually those people will have parents or people that are aware of what's actually going on, and can kind of guide them. But basically, I'm an only child, and I do have psychics on both sides of my family.
Oh, wow.
And it's gone for generations. It's a long thing. So it was something that was always open, in growing up. I was always fascinated by the paranormal, all of that stuff. Like I used to do ghost hunting and stuff when I was a kid. And,
Wow.
and I spent a lot of time alone too, being an only child. And I know now that really I was like hanging out with spirit, that whole time. And that was very much, I was a very weird kid. Like a lot of kids didn't understand me. I was just kind of in my own world, doing my own thing. But for a long time, I didn't really know that I was different in that way. But I believed in that stuff and I was very open to it. And basically for me, my main thing that kind of started or had always been there was these really insanely vivid dreams. And that's something that just seems to be natural for me. It's just has always been there ever since I can remember. And that was the first kind of experiences that I would have was with dreams. And really it was premonition dreams that kind of started for me. I think the first one I had, I was probably 10 or 9.
Wow.
And it was about a friend and they had passed and I told him about it. And like 5 years later, he passed away. And
Oh, wow.
and there was a lot more details to it that were just kind of crazy. But when that stuff happened to me, I kind of would just brush it off, or I'd be like, well, that's weird. But I mean, I don't think I'm psychic, I just didn't really think about it in that way. And high school, college, that whole kind of period, I actually went into addiction and was an alcoholic, went through a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. And, looking back now, I realize a lot of that too. It was, this hypersensitivity that I had. I was very empathic. I was very overwhelmed a lot of the time. I didn't feel I fit in. I didn't know. There was just a lot of like internal struggle there. But I was really thankful and grateful. I was able to find AA when I was, I believe, 20 was when I first started going. And it saved my life. It saved my life.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for it. And basically around that time, it wasn't until 2 years sober. I had 2 years sober. And, the thing with AA is it's an awesome program. And, they don't force any kind of religion on you or anything like that. It's all about just kind of exploring your spirituality, exploring a higher power, right? And for me, I really was kind of atheist growing up. I believed in, stuff, but it was just not a thought for me, really. I didn't really care at that time in my life. So it started to really challenge me to think about that. What do I think about all of that? And it was challenging for me for a while, but I just remember I was able to kind of go back and access and realize that my whole life, especially as a child, I always looked at nature religiously in that way as my higher power. So that's kind of where I would start. And around that time, I kind of made peace with myself. I healed a lot of stuff. I came to this place of acceptance that I had never had, with myself.
Wow.
And around that time, I started to just kind of get into crystals a little bit, and I would kind of play with oracle cards, but it was just for fun. Like I just was always into that stuff a little bit, but again, never thought anything of it. And then basically I was going through like one of the hardest times in my life, and I lost about, I think it was like 3 people within like less than a year.
Wow.
And so it was a lot. And the first thing that actually happened, I started having these visitation dreams. And they were unlike anything I had ever experienced before. Because like I had said, I'd always had crazy dreams. But for example, my husband's friend had passed. And so I had this dream where I was my husband. And I was on Facebook Messenger with his friend. And we were like talking back and forth. And he was saying different things and saying, hey, miss you, whatever. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's weird, whatever. But now, looking back at it, it was like he was trying to make it like really obvious. Like, first off, this isn't for you; it's for Brian because you're Brian, and it's a message on Messenger. Trying to make it like really literal for me. But I just didn't really think that much of it. And then it happened again. It happened again. I had a friend that had passed, and I became connected with her daughter, and I had like one of the most insane visitation dreams. And again, just one of the themes that kind of kept occurring with this was it was always this situation where it would be like, I need to tell you something and you're just going to listen, basically, like, just listen to what we're trying to tell our people, and I would just be like, okay. And then I would share it with the loved ones and they'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. So I kind of was a little like, I don't really know what's going on here. And at the same time, I started to have a huge peak in my anxiety. I'd always had anxiety, but it just kind of like went crazy. And I started to just feel really weird. I also started to develop a chronic illness, which all kind of just all tied together with this whole situation. I became sick with fibromyalgia. And I also started to have a ton of paranormal activity in my apartment. So just a lot of weird things going on.
Oh, wow.
A lot of just weird stuff. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And it was actually Laura. So it was actually Laura who had told me. She was like, I think you need to kind of check this out. I think it's more than just anxiety. So she actually had me go to a medium. And I had never been to one before. And I was kind of like, oh, whatever. Yeah. And I remember I went and he was basically just like, it's a party in here, Daisy. And he was just like, it's natural for you. You got it. He was just like, you're a medium. And he also brought through all these people that had come through and just confirmed everything for me. But at the time I'm a big skeptic, so I was like, yeah, like maybe. And I think one of the big things was that I had never really like been able to connect while I was awake. Right. So I just didn't really know if that was even like, I don't know, like, can I really do that? Because it had only been in my dreams. So I kind of went from there and I couldn't stop thinking about it and all this stuff kept happening. So then I did reach out to another woman and I did a beginner's mediumship class with her just to see, because I was like, I just need to see what's going on here. And so then she walked us through like a meditation. It was after a few weeks, but she walked us through a meditation to connect with spirit. And it just happened. And I was just like, I can't believe that this is happening. And I just remember I was just seeing imagery And I said, I see this man. I was like, I feel like I can't move from the waist down. And I feel very anxious, but I also see this man that's like very sharply dressed and with a bunch of books around him. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm saying. And then the guy, like one of the guys in my class was like, oh, that's my friend. And he was a paraplegic. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
And so I was shocked. I was just as shocked as anybody else. But that was kind of the beginning of that for me. And just seeing that there was more to it. And I feel that, like I said, I feel that I've had it my whole life, and it's very natural for me. Because once that happened, it was like I just needed someone to just show me that it was there and like how to kind of get there. And once she did, I could just do it, really. Of course, like I spent a long time with development and refining, and because I care very much about that, and I think it's something that mediumship unfortunately lacks a lot. Is those ethics and that proper training and just coming from the right place. So, I spent a long time doing that, but it just kind of made sense. It just clicked for me. And it's been just crazy kind of ever since. I never expected to be doing this at all. But it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful for it. And, and I think the other thing was that it just added this whole other layer of depth and understanding to not only my personal story and struggle that I had gone through. It just opened up this whole space that was just mind-blowing for me and just helped me understand myself even more. So that's kind of the mini mini version of how I got.
No, I love that. See, that's what excites me is seeing how these journeys all along, we've got signs all along of our interest when we're young and everything. And every now and then we each have a psychic that says something, but what does it really take to finally we get to where we're going? And what it does take is all those different things that happen are opening you up to your own unique path.
Yeah,
and I think it's so lovely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
do you think it's? I was going to say, do you think it's a lot like you've always been an artist, but you took art classes, so you've always been a psychic medium. But once you started taking classes, you could refine your skill and also kind of decide where you best fit in that medium. Like. It's like people think, okay, well, I'm 10, but I don't need any classes. But I think it's like anything, like learning and getting different people's point of view help you settle into your gifts and also validate your gifts.
Right? Totally validate. Yeah, I needed that validation because I was very, like I said, I could have like anyone tell me, oh, you have this ability or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know. But so having that validation, yes, and just the experience too, and I just feel with mediumship, I just feel that there's tons of wonderful, credible mediums that really take it serious and do the work, but unfortunately, I think there's just a lot of mediumship out there that's kind of watered down, or there's not the right ethics behind it, and I think sometimes also people don't realize kind of the weight of what it is, and because you're dealing with people at their most vulnerable. And you need to be very mindful of how you handle that and the things that you say, because it can be very harmful if you don't say the right things or you're not aware of how you're handling that. And so
I guess you have to get good at turning people away and saying, you're not ready for this yet.
Oh, big time. Because that's totally also so irresponsible to do, and that's going to happen. It's just part of kind of the job, right? You're going to have people that are very like, I need to see you. I need to see you. And it usually when you're in that kind of desperation energy or space, it's not going to help you, because it's really like, it's not an emergency hotline, right? Sometimes people see it that way, right? But it's like, it can be very healing. Yes. But you also want to make sure that somebody's able to receive that. Because I think that's the other thing, it's not always in my control, but for the most part, I really recommend clients of mine, if they have some kind of major loss, you got to give it time before you see medium, because you have to allow yourself to just experience the human process of grief, and that's healthy. Like you need that.
Yeah.
You need to feel that and go through that. And And really, when you're still in that really heavy space of grief, you're not going to be as receptive to, like, I could give you the most amazing reading in the world, but it's not really going to do the job. It's not going to really help you in that way, as opposed to if you give it time and you're lighter, you feel more open, right? Then it can really do wonders for people. But that's, again, yeah, it's such a sensitive thing, and it's something that you just have to be really aware of.
Yeah. I think the thing that we have to remember, and that we all know from our experiences, is that you can't dictate spirit. Spirit will come through however spirit wants to, when spirit wants to. So that's going to be a hard part with that, as well as, people showing up with expectations, and you can't just flip a switch and say, oh, this person you're looking for is here. It's like, whoever's going to come through is going to come through, or maybe nobody at all. It's just, that is like, having that understanding when you're seeking any sort of reading with a medium, knowing that whatever's meant to happen will happen. And if nothing comes through, that's exactly how it's meant to be at that time.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up too, because I do think, the US in general, I think, is a little behind with mediumship. I do think we've made a lot of progress. And, we have these TV shows with like Tyler Henry, Long Island Medium, we have these things. And I do think part of that is positive. I do think it is raising, or like, acceptance of that. It's making it more widespread. However, some of those TV shows, they're heavily edited. They're heavily edited, and they take out basically like all the no's, that people say. And it's just, so that drives me a little crazy, because then people that, let's say, their only experience of mediumship is watching those shows, they expect it to be like that when they come. And the other thing that bothers me a little bit too with those shows is that they make it seem like we're always like open and reading people around us in public, and we just inappropriately go up to people and tell them all this stuff, which I would never do that. I would never, like, of course, there's been moments where I'll feel something in public, and I'll feel something very strongly, and I'll want to say something, but I would never do that to someone. And I think they never share that, but the people that are on those shows accepting those readings, like, they've already signed like a waiver and have like agreed to, receive the reading, so there's just certain things there that just convolute that idea,
Yeah.
One time, because I don't consider myself a medium at all, but when you read the Akashic records, I'll they come, and Ascended Masters come, whatever, you're always going to see something. Yeah. And so my son was over, and this is our first time we had been together since his father had died. And we're sitting there talking about him a little bit. Oh, should have I made this decision? Should have I that? Because he wanted to come see me. His dad did, and he didn't let him. He says, you don't deserve to see my mom. So he was kind of feeling bad about it. And I'm, oh, it's okay. It happened how it is supposed to. I'm doing my best. But then I felt his dad, and I go, oh, by the way, by that chair over there, I could feel your dad, and to me it's like, oh, maybe it'll be good and exciting, but see, not having the experience, he starts, fuck you, Dad, and all this is like, oh, wait a minute, he's just here, and I didn't know what to do then, and there was no messages coming or anything, but his energy, he was understanding my son's anger, my son's grief or stage of grief, and he was listening to it all, and he wasn't feeling bad or anything. He was just saying, yeah, I see how that was. So that's all I got out of it.
Yeah, well, and that's an example. Again, it's just, you never know how someone's going to receive a reading too.
Yeah.
Again, it's just being able to be mindful of how to handle that, how to navigate that, and it's not always easy, but that's a big part of the job. Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
So it's crazy. Like, I've had a few times where those kind of things have happened, where I've felt, I don't even know how to explain it, because I haven't really allowed myself to dive into it. I kind of keep it, because I get the responsibility of it. I know I've talked about this in past episodes, but the responsibility of it overwhelmed me. So I really was like, no, I don't want to go into that. But I've had, the times that I have felt it, and then it's been this really, like, it's been this wave of anxiety, and that's how I know it's coming through, like massive anxiety. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And like trying to breathe through it. And it's just like this really, I don't even know how else to explain it, just anxiety. And I don't really have anxiety much. So that's when I know it's like, okay, what's going on? Like, and you know, the few experiences that I've allowed. So like, how have you managed that part? Because you said you get the anxiety too, or you've had that.
Yeah.
And that for me was just like, how do you like calm it down so that you can be present with it? Because like I said, for me, it was just like, okay, I don't know if I can handle this. This is really intense. So I haven't really given myself permission. You know, I kind of step back and I'm like, that's too much for me. Like, I'm just not ready to be there yet, you know?
Yeah. Yes. No, I love that, because that's a big thing that I'm really passionate about helping people with too. And I mean, even actually, I'm sure Laura's probably mentioned like her holistic mental health book. I have a chapter that talks all about it. And really, you know, everybody's gonna be different, but it's so true that people that struggle with anxiety, people, especially addicts too, like that's such a thing, like people that have addiction, people that have OCD, like all this kind of stuff, like most of the time they have ability, they have abilities, and they're just not aware of that. But for the anxiety, for me, it was kind of this multifaceted thing. It was not something that just magically went away. You know, it took time. It took a lot of time for me. And I think one of the biggest things was, because this is the thing, I feel that when you're new to experiencing that energy, or just being aware of it, allowing your awareness to go there, it amps you up. It makes you feel anxious. You'll feel all these different things, and it can be very overwhelming. And that was the thing, like I would just leave my job. Like I wouldn't be able to be at work. Like I wouldn't be able to help customers. Like I would just be like, I gotta go. Like I gotta leave. And I had to quit my job. Actually, that's what ended up happening. And it was a blessing though. It worked out. It was all meant to be. But you know, I didn't want to be there anyway. But you know, it just. And I also, for a long time, like I felt like I couldn't go in crowded places. I couldn't do those things, because I think this is the thing. When you're first being aware of it, it feels like you're at the mercy of spirit, kind of. It feels like they are in control and they can just bombard you, right? So really, that's not really true, right? But it's just, it feels that way because it's new and we're open, and they're like, oh, you're open, great, you know, and they're like, let's talk and do all this stuff, and they're just excited. But the thing is that it's a relationship, right? Number one, it's a relationship. And I think that's something that people forget, or they don't realize, that you can tell them what works for you. Tell them, hey, too much. I don't love the way this feels. Well, how you're making me understand this stuff, I appreciate. So like, and that's part of the meditation that I offer in that chapter, is just, it's kind of recognizing, okay, what is this? Who is it coming from? Because it isn't mine, right? And then saying, you know, thank you so much for giving me this information. I understand the message and I don't need it anymore, right? And working that through. But that's a process, you know.
I like that.
And that's how you learn, right? That's the education part that you need to learn.
I love that.
I mean, Teresa had to work through a lot of her anxiety by just recognizing that she was a big empath, and it wasn't all just in her head, right? And then,
because they diagnosed me bipolar and personality disorders or whatever, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
But anyway, then I come online and I start learning, well, really, it's energy. I just need to learn to manage my energy work. And I still didn't think I was psychic. That took years or whatever. But all it is managing the energy.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, and as you develop, because that's what happened to me. It was like, as I developed, I was able to understand, oh, that's not mine. Okay. Move through, you know, and moving through. And then just being able to have more control over it. Because for a long time, like I said, I felt like I had no control and they were just all over. But then I've gotten to a point now, but it's taken time. But there's two things. Like there's a lot I can say about this. But one thing is that once you, like for a long time, I had to do a grounding meditation every morning before I left. And I was like, I would have to ground and then I would protect and do all this stuff, which I actually don't really even believe in that anymore. I don't. But at the time I needed that. I kind of needed that structure to just help me through for a time. And it was effective, you know, but I would carry a whole ton of crystals on me, grounding crystals. I would do all different types of things to try to help with that stuff. And it did provide that when I needed it at that time. But after a while, you start to realize, you know, that stuff can help. Sure, it doesn't hurt. But really, I mean, you're you are in control of how your energy is managed or manipulated by, whatever other energies around you, but it takes time. And the other thing for me was, once I was able to actually realize that that's what it was, and then I was able to start delivering messages, I would feel a lot of relief, because it was like, oh, there you go, just get it out. And then it was like, yay, it's done, it's out. Because I would, even at work, that's what I would do. Like, I would run into a corner and I would just write down everything that they were giving me, and then I would feel better. Even if I couldn't, because I don't, like I said, I don't like I'm not going to go up to a stranger and just tell them stuff. So that's how I kind of dealt with that. I would just would write it all down, and I'd be like, and I would just say, thank you so much for connecting with me and giving me all of this. And I trust if you need me to connect with your loved one, that you will organize that and make that happen, in a way where they come to me and they're open, right? And if not, whatever. But that's just how I kind of would work through that. And it's taken it's been about 5 years now, but now I'm at this point where it's basically as simple as I'm looking over here or I'm looking over here. And, sometimes if I'll just kind of take a look over there, if I'm like doing regular human things, right? And I'll be like, oh, okay, hello. But then I can just go back to what I'm doing. And it doesn't interfere with my everyday life that much.
It's the power of your intention. And the rest of those things, like your grounding meditation and crystal, are all tools of intention. And it's till you get them like embodied in your own way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, a lot of it is just learning what it is and being able to identify it. And then being able to understand that you have power over that.
Yeah, I love that you set up boundaries with it. I think that's so powerful, because it's just, otherwise it can take complete control over you in your life. And it's so important. As with any relationship, you have to have healthy boundaries.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Yeah. Very cool stuff. This is awesome. I didn't think we were going to go down this route, but this is where I'm at. I love that. I'm just like, okay, so we have to expand and connect, but we're doing that in a different way. So that's so awesome. I love it.
So what I'm wondering is in the beginning, it was mostly coming through in dreams. And so now at this point, or, when you were working, it was closer. It was when you were awake and coming through. What I want to see, is there a parallel that comes through, like inspiration, I guess is the word I'm thinking of. When inspiration comes through, whether it's inspiration to do artwork or the inspiration to help somebody with shadow work or whatever, does that inspiration all come from the same places?
I love that question. For me, I would say no. I feel like yes and no, if that makes sense. Then I'll explain. Because I think it's all from spirit, some form of spirit, some form of God, whatever, right? But me in particular, I tend to get hits from all different places, all different types of beings, like all different things, and sometimes I don't really know what it is, right? But it will just kind of pop in, right?
Wow.
So I would say it's yes and no.
Wow, that's so neat. Who's popped through the neatest? I mean, not specifically, but who amazed you? Like, oh my God, I never thought I would contact this or that, or
I mean, there's been a lot. Because that's some of my favorite stuff is because I love connecting to people's guides and also like past lives. But I've had so many amazing things happen where, for example, like where I have a dream about something, and then it connects, in my waking life, and then I realize it's a guide of mine or something like that. So, I mean, I have a lot of examples, but there was one in particular that was like blew my mind, which was where I had this really intense dream about this person that they had this like really unique outfit on, and it was like covering their whole face, and it had all this ornate patterning work all over it, and covered their whole body. They had gloves, and it was all matching, and it was very strange. And then a couple days later, I was sick, and I was like watching YouTube, and randomly this documentary came on, and it was about this artist, and lo and behold, he was wearing the same exact outfit. and it was like to every last detail, it's the same outfit. And I was like, whoa! And I'm getting chills over my body right now. It was wild. And then I was able to connect with them, and it turned out they were a guide of mine. And it's just wild. Spirit never ceases to amaze me. With just, they do amazing things for sure. And I mean, and that's something that so I kind of wanted to make the episode about that, but that's something that I'm just super passionate about is, helping my clients realize that they can have this whole experience, and maybe it's probably different from me, but they still have access to that. They have access to exploring their own world and connection to spirit in their own way, and that's something that I really am passionate about too. Is like I always make sure I leave my client feeling confident in ways they can start to develop a connection to their loved one that's outside of going to a medium. I think mediums have their place. I think they're important. And of course, they're going to maybe bring through information in a different way for you. That's neutral. It's a different type of thing. And I think some people also just need that validation, whatever it may be, that evidence, right, to believe. And that's fine. But I think that's one thing that I get mad about is like some mediums that will make you think that you have to go to them to connect, right? And no medium will ever be more connected to you than your people.
Right.
So that's something that I just try to teach everyone that I can. Yeah.
That's like the whole belief that you have to go to church to talk to God or the universe or whatever.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's available to all of us, and it can be so healing and so powerful for people. And I love hearing the experiences that clients of mine will have, or that they'll just, when they open themselves up to that, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Wow.
So how do you help yourself to be more open? I think that's the big question. Like, how do you really open yourself up to allow yourself to be receptive to all these messages that are coming through or experiences, that spirit really has for us?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people I know, especially that are in development with mediumship, a lot of them tend to have issues with fear and letting go. And I just think that's part of the reason why I'm meant to do this, because I'm pretty fearless. I really, and I actually feel, that's part of like why I kind of went through all the stuff I went through. I've been in very dark places. I've seen a lot of things. I've been through a lot of things. And, it's given that stuff purpose to me, because it helps. It helps with all of this work. So for me, it's really, I guess, how I would say I try to work on expanding or just continuing my work is I just always try to go into new spaces, new areas of just deepening, and just how can I bring spirit in a different way? How can I channel spirit in a different way? How can I offer something else to my clients? Because there's always more. There's always more that you can do. There's always more that you can do to just refine or deepen or just explore. And, I think there is such thing as too much classes or too much, because then you can get in your head and it's, you don't trust your own organic way of bringing through things. Right. But one thing that I do as a regular practice is I'll do these deep kind of astral travel meditations, which kind of are like journeying things. But those really expand me a lot and usually bring me through just insane stuff. And that's where I'll really connect more with my guides. I'll just connect more with my own soul. So doing stuff like that, exploring trance as well, I really love doing. Kind of some more old school mediumship stuff as well, which is really like trance is definitely part of that. My art, I just try lots of different things, if that makes sense. I just think the more you try, the more just angles and ideas and things you're going to see, and it helps you stay open. And having like a regular basic practice too, I think is another thing. It just keeping it simple as well, because it's very easy. Like, I mean, just everything I'm saying, like, it's very easy to get very like overwhelmed and kind of lost in that stuff. But which I think I just kind of exist that way, so it kind of just works for me. But I also just will have a basic practice where I read a daily meditation book, and I meditate for 10 minutes, and then I just do the Serenity Prayer, and just that in general. Like tuning in with my own energy, tuning in with myself, just centering myself before I start my day. And it can be something as simple as that as well. But I think it's unique to every person, and they need to kind of figuring out what works for you, right?
Right.
For sure. Do you have a meditation to help us connect right now?
Yeah.
Perhaps? Yeah.
I do. All right. So just get super comfortable. And whenever you're ready, you can close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in, holding it in, pausing at the top there, and releasing slowly. And doing that one more time. Inhale, holding it, and exhale. Just take a moment here, really relax, and do a brief body scan here where you're just making your way from your feet all the way up your legs, and just noticing, not criticizing or getting stuck on anything, but we're just being aware of how our body feels. Moving up to our torso and chest, our neck and shoulders, and down our arms and our hands, up our neck onto our face and the top of our head. And just noticing any areas that you feel that you're holding tension. And as you notice those areas, I want you to just release them to the best of your ability. Just softening those muscles, really melting into the space you're sitting in, allowing yourself to fully relax and surrender to the present moment, knowing that there's nothing that needs to be done right now. You're safe and held and fully able and have full permission to just be. Just feeling into your body as a whole and the energy and vibration it is giving off at this time. That's something that's always changing. And it's from here that I want you to visualize your aura. And this can be very visual, or it could be just a feeling. So don't overanalyze, but just allow your aura to come to your awareness. See if you see any colors, or even if you feel a color or hear. You may sense this in many different ways. But our aura is always changing, but it can always give us some valuable information as to how our energy is today. Just tuning into that, seeing how beautiful it is, really feeling its power. And then I want you to visualize your aura expanding outward and growing, brightening in intensity and color, and expanding outward, filling the entire room that you're sitting in. Really raising your vibration, expanding and lifting your energy, purifying your energy, and really empowering you. Feeling the magic that is unique to you. And just feel into this for a moment. Feel into this expansion. And it's from here that we're going to ask your spirit team to come close to you. Just asking your guides and spirit, loved ones, to come close and simply notice the shift in energy you feel when this happens. It could be very subtle. You may notice certain things. So just pay attention to what's coming up when you feel their energy close to you. Really feeling their love and power and their deep, intimate connection with you. And then allow one individual from this team to come closer and stand out from the crowd and stand right in front of you. I just want you to feel into who this is, what they look like, how they're presenting. They may be someone you recognize, and they may be someone new. But feel into their unique energy and see if they even have a color to them or anything else. And just take a moment to connect with their energy and to feel your relationship with them. And we'll just ask them what guidance they want to share with us today. And just see what comes up. It doesn't have to make sense. We'll just receive that guidance. And then they're going to create a crystal for you out of their heart space. So just take a look at what that crystal looks like. What color it is, what shape it is. And then allow your guide to place this within your third eye. Really feel the shift in energy as that's received. Feeling your third eye expand and open, clarify. Imagining a swirl of energy spiraling outward and expanding and opening. Being activated by this energy. Removing any distractions from that space, anything that blocks clarity of the messages you receive. Instilling more trust in what you receive. And then allowing your guide to place their hands over your heart space and offer some healing there. Really feeling into the connection between our third eye and our heart space and knowing that these centers work together. Just breathing into this activation, allowing it to move through you. Allowing your guide to embrace you in a hug. Thanking them for offering this beautiful energy to us, this connection. And then allowing them to gently step back. And just taking a moment here to feel into how your energy has shifted. And gently make your way back to the space you're sitting in. You can move in any way that feels good to you. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
I'm glad you're leading us. I'm glad you were leading us through this so I didn't get stuck overthinking on some of the things I was seeing. So thank you for keeping us moving right along.
Oh, you're welcome.
We've been fascinated because there was a rainbow behind your left shoulder, right shoulder.
Oh, yeah, that's
shoulders. I see both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you have some crystals in the window or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sweet.
Wow. So how'd it go for you guys?
Oh, I was everywhere.
How was your meditation?
That was so cool.
Oh, good.
Through?
Oh, there were deer. And,
really?
I don't know. All sorts of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, our spirit teams, I think that's the other thing is we realize there's so many, right? There's so many different beings, all kinds of things, right? And it's just really helpful. I like doing meditations like that just to help, because that's a big one with our expansion and with our development with psychic abilities of any kind, right? Number one to me is knowing your energy first. Knowing how you feel. What does your specific energy feel like? Because that's number one. You can't go anywhere past that until you really can, mastering that is key. Because once you know that, when you have incoming energy from something else, you immediately recognize it as foreign to you, right? So, and it's being able to separate that and really help a lot.
It's really, lots of people are just saying it's amazing.
Oh,
and thank you.
So
and I wanted to remind people, you can listen to this over again on Facebook or on our YouTube, but also on our podcast. You can just scrub through and go straight to her, listen to the whole episode or get right back into it with the meditation on the podcast too later on today.
I also have a ton of, I haven't been live in a little while, but I have a lot of already recorded, really deep trance meditation journeys that are all on my Facebook page and YouTube channel. So if people like that experience, I definitely recommend checking that out and just seeing how that goes for you. That's one of my favorite things to do. I love taking people through all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to do it.
And that's all in the description of it'll be in the description of the YouTube and in the description of the Facebook posting and also in the description of the podcast. So you can just head over you're on Instagram, Facebook, and you have a Facebook community too that people can join?
Yep. Yes, I have a Facebook group that's free. And then I also have a website too that people can check out and message me through. But they can message me on my personal Facebook, wherever they want. But really, I'm happy to talk to anybody or help anybody with questions anytime. So anyone can feel free to message me about whatever.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's sweet what Sherry says. I can't remember. There it is. Yeah, Daisy always makes me cry. I love her, and I'm so glad that she is in my life. Thank you for sharing her with us.
I love Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah, I want to tell you what happened to me by way after.
Yeah, tell me.
Now? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Okay. Well, okay, all kinds of things were happening, like I said, and that's why I'm glad you were keeping us moving along, because I would have stuck on things. When we were feeling our aura, there was this, my aura, I was just seeing greens and yellows and pastel colors. But right above from here up for a few feet, there was this red swirl going on, and I was going to obsess on that, but I left it. And then we're expanding, and I thought, well, I'm going to use this chance to expand to see what that does to that. And then it kind of turned into a jagged lightning bolt, kind of. And I was thinking, okay, interesting. And then we kept moving on. So when finally somebody came to us, it was my dad. And he was standing like with his left shoulder to me. And I thought, well, that has to be significant for some reason. And why is he not facing me? It's a side profile. And he had a blue shirt on and all that. And the crystal, he's the one who gave me the crystal. And it was like a blue celestite. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we put that in there. Soon as that was in my head, butterflies. It's like, man, I must have had backed up with butterflies. They're all coming out. Yeah, there, look at that, Bex.
Isn't that because beautiful? I reached it. That's the celestite. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then the only message was that he was giving me was like, it has to do with the hands, like get more hands-on in my everyday life. Was my best guess at it. So that's what I was trying to get. So
that's awesome. I love all of that.
Cool.
Great.
That is very cool.
Yeah. How about you guys? What stones did you guys get?
Well, first part that I thought was really funny was when you said to call in your guides closer, they all were like high-fiving and like, woo, it's happening. It was really funny. And I was just like, okay, sit back and kind of watch. But the one who stepped forward, and with the aura, first of all, it was like oil slicks but vapor. Like it was the rainbows of oil slicks. And then as it got like more to the outer part, there was like a vibrant blue like here that went into like an indigo. And then it was just really cool. And then like over here I was feeling actually that I need some healing over here. I was definitely feeling like there's some stuff here that I need to clear out on the left side, which I thought was interesting. So I'm going to look into that after. But yeah, so when the guide stepped forward, it was this, back in like the time of dragons and Merlin and things, this woman who just had this very beautiful green dress, and she had like this long wavy golden hair. And she was a warrior like in that time, but there was what was coming through was really about embracing the softness and the strength, which I thought was interesting, because it's like just allowing yourself to be powerful, but there's a softness that is more powerful in the strength to embrace and really just allow yourself to be in it. And it helped me to feel more settled. It helped me to feel more calm. And then the crystal that she brought through was a quartz, but it had like an 8-sided point at the top, like an 8-faced point, and at the bottom was a very sharp point. But inside was like the vapors that were similar to what my aura was. So it was like a liquid vapor kind of movement inside the crystal. It was very interesting.
That's
I haven't seen anything like it. Yeah, it was very cool. It really took me a little bit to come back, because I was just like, I want to just hang out there a little bit longer. And then
I know. You can wait an hour.
I can stay there for a
while.
while.
So I think we're gonna have to redo this again. I'm gonna have to listen to the podcast and do it again, because mine was too scrambled to be even to describe. So Bex, you have some questions for Daisy.
I do. All right. So the first question is, if you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, what would that be?
That's tough. That's a tough one for me. But music in general, I mean, more of my answer to that is kind of like more about music. I mean, I kind of listen to all different things, right? So it kind of just depends on what I'm feeling, where I'm at, right? I mean, man, because also if I want to connect with specific guides, for example, like sometimes I'll listen to music from a certain time period, right? Or something like that. Lately I've been listening to a lot of jazz for some reason. Because sometimes I don't want to hear like lyrics. I just want to hear just like instrumental. And sometimes I seem to always love rainforest recordings. real recordings of like the rainforest. I've been listening to those like my whole life, like to go to sleep. I used to all the time listen to that. So I don't know, that almost feels more correct to me as like a theme song, which seems kind of weird, but I don't know. It's just always been very connected to me, those sounds.
Well, it's scientifically proven that the sound of birds makes us relax because it goes back to our ancient DNA that when we could hear the birds out in the forest, we knew everything was safe. And when they stopped, we knew danger was around the corner.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it definitely speaks to the shamanic aspect of, your experiences. And so there's probably definitely a past life thing in that. Definitely had, Amazon experiences and things like that. So
I feel that big time. I mean, I'm aware of a few past lives that have definitely been in like the jungle. So I know it just makes sense.
So it's just calling you home. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's, the thing of that question is there's never a wrong answer. And I think you're the first person who's ever actually brought us in this direction with that response. And I love that. I love that you're willing to step outside that box and just bring through your truth like that. Not looking for something with lyrics because I think that people do. We try to define ourselves with lyrics sometimes, So I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah,
all right, question. Weird
for one song.
That's okay. Go for it. Question number 2 is: what is your favorite crystal that you're working with right now?
All right, I have a few that I'm working with right now. I'm big on crystals. People that know me know that for sure. I do like to teach people about crystals a lot. So lately I've been obsessed with this lithium quartz that I got.
Wow.
Oh, that's a beauty.
Insane.
Wow.
That is stunning.
Wow.
It literally has like
look at the records on that.
Yeah. It has like a council of beings living in it. It's insane. Insane. Wow. So I love lithium quartz. And then also this lepidolite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Gorgeous.
Those are both good for stress and stuff.
I would just be sleeping with those.
Yeah. Those both have a lot of lithium in them, which is great for stress and just calming the nerves. And then I just got this beautiful citrate
I love that.
from the Himalayan mountains. So I've been
from where?
Himalayan mountains.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I've been loving that for just some extra energy. And then this is one of my favorites too. This is a golden healer quartz.
Wow.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Nice twin.
I love meditating with this one a lot.
Oh, wow.
Very powerful. So those are a few, but I have a lot.
Wow, those are amazing.
Thank you.
I love those. I just got like supercharged just looking at them because they're so big and gorgeous and love it. Okay, question number 3. Have you ever experienced extra-dimensional intelligence, meaning UFOs, visitations, or anything along those lines?
Yes. Yes. I have a lot of connection to beings like that. I recently saw a UFO not that long ago with my husband. That was probably in October, I want to say. But I live in the Hudson Valley, and they're like known to be UFOs. But we saw it was like three perfect, like perfectly aligned orange lights, and they were covering this huge amount of space. It was like and they were just floating there in like a diagonal line, and then they just one by one just disappeared.
Wow.
So that was wild. And a lot of my experiences other than that, like I have seen probably 2 other things in the sky before. But for the most part, a lot of those experiences have been psychically for me, and also in my dreams. I have a lot of dream experiences connected with aliens where I am an alien or I'm going with aliens somewhere. And definitely I have a lot of guides that are aliens. So yes, yeah, lots of things.
That's awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the orange light ships.
Yeah.
I see a lot of those. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The plasma ships or whatever they call them.
That's Rhonda's family.
Yeah.
My neighbors. They're my neighbors.
They're your family too.
Yeah, the sky is the neighborhood. That's
Sky family.
My neighborhood. The orange ones. Yeah,
Sky
it's nice that
97.
you can see them with your husband. Because I don't know how in tune your husband is, if he's all like on board.
He's very psychic, but he's just working on accepting that, right? But yeah, he's definitely a healer, psychic, very open. So, and I mean, he hears it from me regardless.
Yeah.
It was okay, so.
It's nice to see UFOs with somebody else that they can say, yeah, you're not nuts.
Somebody that's open to it, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Dave will be open someday, Rhonda.
Well, he is getting more, like, I see that. Yeah. So.
Right.
Been a few times.
Finally.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I often tease my husband has that poster like you saw on X-Files. I want to believe his is I don't want to believe it and I don't want to see it. I'm all good with everything except the UFO guys.
Yeah.
He's good with dragons, but not UFOs. Haven't got that going. Anyways.
That's so funny.
So, Bex, do you have a winner for us?
I do have the winner of last week's Share It Out and comments. And you guys don't forget to, as long as you're participating, commenting, sharing it out, you get a chance to win. So make sure you guys do that. And we always appreciate you guys being with us. We do this because we love hanging out with you every Sunday. The winner of last week's Share It Out, who won the Egyptian Soul Spa meditation, is the lovely Jan Harrison. Congratulations. And so whoever shares out the most or comments the most or whatever, we're intuitively going to pick you and you'll get to win next week. So
Patty was just saying there is a green comet that you can see in the morning just before sun. Which sky?
I'm not sure, but it says it's like around.
Patty?
They said it hasn't been around for like 50,000 years or something.
Yeah, I didn't see it last time.
Yeah.
So,
you didn't see it last time?
Maybe we did, though.
Yeah, we might have.
We might have.
We know the sky. Yeah, we got cloud cover. I hope it stays
it
a
was
while.
cloudy.
Patty, I think it's till in February. Patty, which sky are you seeing it in? Hopefully it's not the east.
But they're saying you can see it with the naked eye.
Yeah.
So you don't even need a telescope.
That's what would be awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. It'd be very cool.
Anyways,
So that was fun today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, show us your art.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you, Rhonda. Your art is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
It's like straight from the heart or something.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so, I just have one. This is just one.
Oh,
the lighting's a little.
And who is that? Is that you?
So that's actually my husband.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kind of amazing.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and I brought some aragonite pyramids that I've made as well.
Oh,
I love that.
gorgeous.
Wow. Feel that
They're
energy.
so great to have when you have so many devices around you.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah, those. Yeah, I know they are good for
They
that.
cancel out the EMF and everything else.
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, I
Awesome.
don't have
So
more, but
you-
one who wants to see more of my art, it's on my Instagram.
Yeah, and you do those custom for people too.
Yeah.
That's one of
Yep.
your services. So that's pretty cool to have art. Yeah, that's awesome. Have a soul painting of yourself, so you can say, "Hey, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome." That's a beautiful painting. I really say that, Gina. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's fun.
Yeah.
We'll continue to creep your pages and join your Facebook group, and just be. That's awesome. Thanks, everybody.
I want to go check out some of your trance meditations.
Yeah. Oh, you do. Yeah, definitely.
That would be
Very
awesome.
excited. And we'll definitely have you back.
Bex, tell us
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
That'll be fun.
yeah, I'm going to go there when I can concentrate completely on what I'm doing and not what I'm not doing. Yeah, the tech stuff like I'm trying to go through right now. Anyways, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
take care, guys.